Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him there's no other, 'cause Jesus is the way.
Today we're going to be talking about the subject of marketing, or how do you establish a coaching business or ministry if that's what you want to get into. Startup Magazine calls coaching the #1 home-based profession and the #2 growth industry in the United States. Now, what's the challenge? Well, the challenge is when this got started, everyone thought, well, this is going to take off, everyone's going to make millions of bucks and everything else. And instead of looking at it as a ministry, they were looking at it as a business. And of course, they looked to the coaches that had the jobs of coaching the executives of the big companies and the Fortune 500 and so on, and they were making the big bucks, right? But let's look at some reality here. There are about 30,000 coaches worldwide. Most of those have begun coaching since 1999. 70% are not making a living from coaching only. Only 10% make over $100,000 a year. Why is getting coaching established as a business so hard? Well, the first reason is you're trying to sell an unfamiliar service. You're trying to reach people. How many people have thought about, well, I just need a coach? They haven't, so therefore you've got to sell them on this new product called coaching. Selling improvement and achievement services, so you're expected to be an example of that. So if you're not successful, are they going to come to you to teach them how to be successful? You must be articulate to demonstrate the value of your coaching. They're going to say, show me. And the clients have to pay out of their own pocket, so they expect fast results. You don't have insurance that covers coaching. So when they have to pay you money, they're expecting what you're going to do for them is going to happen very rapidly. So now let's talk about a coaching practice overall. First, let's talk about a strategic model. What are the things that you need to do to put together a coaching practice? Well, the first is called positioning. And by the way, a lot of this information, if you want to get more of it, comes from The Business and Practice of Coaching by Lynn Grodzki and Wendy Allen. Positioning says there are a lot of other coaches out there, and you need to find your particular place where you have the expertise. What is your position? Let me give you some statistics again. 70% of coaches have prior business and consulting experience. 44% have a college degree. 70% have graduated from a coach training program. 70% have a coach or a mentor coaching them. 70% are self-employed or sole practitioners. 70% earn less than $50,000 a year. 37% earn less than $10,000 a year. Most small businesses take 3 years to show a profit. 40% target businesses, professionals, entrepreneurs, and executives. Why do you think they do that? Because that's where the money is going to be. If you have a business, they're going to have the money to pay for this. 20% target the non-work market of college students, stay-at-home moms, and retirees. People are trying to get something off the ground, say in the way of a home business. 68% carry no liability insurance. In counseling, do we ever recommend that? Absolutely not. In coaching, no, it isn't always necessary. In coaching, right now is moving full circle back to in-house status of training middle and senior managers as coaches. So what's really happening is that the individual coach out there, those are decreasing, and they're actually teaching people to be coaches and having those coaches as part of the companies themselves, rather than going out and hiring an individual consultant or an individual coach. Normally, coaching, though, will give you 6 times the return on your investment. That's what research says. For most men, remember we're the macho people? We're the one who've never admit we make any mistakes or have any problems. It's easier for most men to go to a coach than to go to a counselor, because going to a counselor, you admit what? I have some sort of a problem. Going to a coach, you just say, well, I want to be a better rat. I want to run the rat race faster. And so men will go to coaches really for what they should be going to counseling for. 44% of small businesses fail in the first 3 years. We're going to talk later of why it is some coaching businesses fail and why others make it. The second thing is differentiation. The key to survival in a crowded marketplace is to stand out and find your niche. You need to find your particular area. Now, what we're doing here actually helps you deal with a lot of these things, because we already have an automatic niche, don't we? It's an area of ministry coaching within the church, which is what we're primarily teaching you this for. So what questions should you ask yourself to determine your niche? What are my previous work and life experiences that qualify me to be a coach? Where have I achieved excellence in my life? What skills and strengths do I have to apply? What are your passions about? What is my niche? You must focus on 1 to 2 audiences that you need to market to, or you're going to be scattered all over the place. What is your segment of the market? Who are your coaching clients, and where do you find them? Define the ideal client. So what are we saying? You need to say, okay, what are my skills? And by the way, does this sound like coaching yourself? That's why it's good to have a coach to be coaching you going through this, because they can help you figure out your skills, your passions, all the kind of things I just read to you are the same things you have to get a hold of yourself. And then you have to determine your client. If we're talking about Christian coaching, a lot of this stuff just drops out pretty easily. Who are your clients? Primarily the Christians in the church, or people who are listening to Christian radio stations, or people that have some Christian connection. And where are you going to find them? Probably in the churches, or on the Christian radio stations, or the Christian newspaper, or someplace like that. So therefore, it sort of narrows your whole scope down, and you sort of know. If you're a pastor here, or you were a counselor here, and you're already operating in a church, where are you going to find most of your clients? In the church. What is their earning range? Most coaches target people making around $60,000 to $100,000. Why do you think they do that? Because those people can afford doing this. Do you think if you're targeting people that make about $5,000 to $10,000 a year, that you're going to be very prosperous as a coach? But remember something else. What are we doing here? Ministry. So you may be doing this part-time. You may not be looking for a full-time overall ministry. What are their needs or challenges that need to be met? In the church, again, that's pretty easy. They want to find the calling of God, and they want to carry that calling out. What are the buying habits or history of this particular group of people? They probably would like to be on some sort of a sliding scale or something. And where's the location? Where can you actually find them? The third is entrepreneurship. You must develop a mindset for business growth and develop a relationship network. You need a business plan. But what is a business plan? It's the same thing as the plan we just talked about, your mission plan. Now, a smart thing to do is to integrate this into what you're currently doing. So if you're currently a Christian counselor, can you integrate coaching in that pretty easily? Or if you're a pastor, can you reach some of the people in your congregation pretty easily? Or a youth leader, you have your automatic group there that are going to need this that you can market directly to. Another way is you can diversify a current business. You can simply say, we're adding this in. Or you can orient to a new career. That's going to be the hardest. If you've never done any of this before, you have no position in a church, you have nothing there, and you're going to start from the beginning and you're going to advertise in the paper and try and make this thing go, it's going to be a whole lot harder to get started. And when we're talking about statistics like it takes 3 years to be profitable, that's what we're talking about. But if you can piggyback on something you're already doing, you already are known in this particular area, it's going to be a whole lot easier. Business identity. You're going to have to determine what your mission statement is, what your vision is, and then set up something from a business standpoint. A limited partnership, a corporation, a proprietorship. How are you going to put this together legally? Need to come up with 10 business goals. What are the goals that you have for what you're doing here? And you need to attract clients. They did a survey of 6,000 coaches, and here's the list of the way they attracted clients. Getting clients from existing and past clients. Referrals from other professionals. Giving paid seminars, presentations, and workshops. Offering a free coaching session. Networking with local organizations. Writing and publishing a book or a newsletter. Giving free talks. Having a website. You'll find out that almost every coach has a website that explains everything about them that people can go through, and of course they advertise on the internet to try to draw people in. You've got to reconcile two things: profit and the service that you provide. Because it needs to be profitable or you can't continue doing this. Here are some safe business practices. Don't overpromise results. Don't take multiple roles. Document your coaching sessions. Maintain ethical standards. Be careful asking for endorsements. Have a good coaching agreement. And maintain confidentiality. Those are pretty obvious. But if you go outside of those, you're going to be causing yourself some real problems. So now let's apply this all to Bible-based coaching. First, you must have a vision. And you need to get that vision down. So have somebody coach you. If you want to see what a website should look like, you can go to the International Coaching Federation, www.coachfederation.org. Or another coach that I really like what he has to say about business coaching is Steve Minton, www.acoach4u.com. And he gives a lot of good examples of things that you can do. So question is, what is your dream? What is your passion? What do you want to contribute to your client? What kind of clients in coaching enthuses you? How does your training and experience fit? How much time, money, and resources are you willing to commit? And how much do you want to change from what you're already doing? I think for most Christians, what's it going to be? I want to reach other people. I want to help other people find their calling. My clients are the ones that are in the church that haven't found their calling or are lost or need help in achieving their calling, and that's what I want to do. And I want to somehow support myself, or at least do this part-time until I can support myself, to get this whole thing going. Options as a Bible-based coach. First big suggestion. Get your practicum here so you have experience and you really know what you're doing when you get out there and you're trying to coach people and charge them money. Do you think that would be useful? Do some lay coaching in this or another church. so you get some experience and you're building things up. Don't go out there and think as soon as you finish this class you're going to walk out there and start this business and make $100,000 a year, especially in the church. Then start doing part-time coaching in the church for a fee probably on a sliding scale after you got your certification as a coach. Eventually go to full-time as you build up more clients in the church. Then you might go part-time professional coaching beyond the church environment and start bringing in other people. And then you might go full-time professional coaching. And then you might go to international coaching. So I'm suggesting you build up a little at a time, get stable, get some experience, get some people that can give you recommendations, and build up one step at a time as you do this. Because then you'll have a solid foundation, and you don't go out there and try and do all this stuff and really don't know what you're doing, and therefore it doesn't work. Marketing strategies. Start with a church-based practice. I highly recommend that. We believe, of course, that coaching or discipleship as well as counseling should be in the church and should be totally integrated in the church. So we don't really recommend that you go outside of the church. You can operate from the church. And of course, in coaching, you can even operate from your own home. You don't have to have an office in the church. Marketing to pastors, especially your pastor first. If you can't sell it to your pastor, what do we know? You need to do some more work on what they call your elevator speech, which is getting people enthused about coaching. And help them understand the need in the church, discipleship in the Bible, in-reach to the people of the church, outreach to draw other people into the church, and evangelism. Most pastors are very interested in seeing people saved and people brought into the church. And if you can show him that you coaching in the church are going to draw people into the church, get them established in the church, get people saved as part of your coaching, he's going to be a whole lot more enthused in supporting you and advertising for you and helping you to be known in the church. You can provide training in your own church. After you get the training here, you can take it and use it to train other people in your own church, in your own ministry, wherever you're going. Because everybody could learn how to disciple other people better or learn how to lead other people better, and that's what this is all about. Professional coaching. You can get yourself a lot of other training, but you can start training other people in the area of coaching. Remember, there are no rules. And then you can use our program and others in the church. We'll allow you to use all of our classes in there to build your own training program to train other coaches. But do you think it might be a good idea that you get your feet on the ground first and you know what you're doing before you start trying to train other people in something you don't know what you're doing yet? Develop a center, similar like we have, with supervision. Recruit those that you coach to become coaches themselves. Remember the multiplication factor? If you just take one person and in 1 year they recruit 2 people and those 2 people recruit 2 people and so on, you reach the entire world in about 30 years. Give presentations in Bible-based teaching. If you've got a chance to teach a Sunday school class, you can teach about discipleship. You can teach coaching. It fit perfectly into the church. Spiritual gift assessment program. Most pastors would like to have that, and a lot of churches will do that. One particular church I know did that, and then they had all their ministries in the church come out, and everyone could interview with them to see if that's where their spiritual gifts fit. There was only one problem. They didn't go beyond that. Had they had a good coaching program to then take all those people that figured out where their spiritual gifts were and start coaching them to see that happen, it probably would have been a lot more effective. But see, you can sell that entire program to your pastor. A class topic or group coaching. You can demonstrate it. You can show people how it works and publicize in the church bulletin, the newsletter, the marquee of the church. See, I personally think that this whole thing of Bible-based coaching that fits right in the church is actually easier to get started than it is to go out into the secular world The way you get started is that you already have worked for their company and you now are helping people in the company, or you know the executive. You have to have all those connections and those things to see this thing really work and to go someplace in the more secular world. But within the Christian world, there's such a huge need. Then once you are set up within that church, if you want to take it even further, you can go to community-based coaching. You can provide coaching for a number of other churches, maybe in your same denomination, or churches believe the same way you did. For a while here in Wichita, in the way of counseling, it's very similar. We had some counselors that were counseling in several different churches around town. And they'd counsel on Monday in this church, and Tuesday in that one, and Wednesday in that one, and so on. And you could do the same thing in the way of coaching. The good thing is, remember, once you get this established, you don't need facilities, because you can operate coaching over the phone. We don't recommend that in the church. We recommend you get the pastor to give you an office or something in the church so you can see them face to face and work with them on a little bit closer basis than just over the phone. Advertise in the church bulletin, newsletter, Christian paper. Give seminars. When we first started coaching here, I advertised in the Christian Chronicle and gave a whole night seminar just on the area of Christian coaching. Provide training and supervision. The thing just builds. And then once you've built it to that level, then you can go international. Now in the past that'd be very hard to do. But with the internet today, if you can get a good website and get some good search engine optimization, or pay some money to get people coming to your sites, you can do that. Another way to do that is you could get your qualifications, get certified, and join the Christian Coaching Network, because they have you then on their website, and people choose what coaches they want to get on that particular website. And so you can join different international organizations to get some broader outreach, so you get people coming to you that can help you that way. Advertise in your niche area. I said earlier in this lecture, if you have your particular niche, then you can advertise in those particular areas. As an example, a man here in town, his niche was helping family companies pass on the company to their children. Where do you think he should advertise? Business magazines. That's not something you advertise in the normal church, because you're not going to have too many multi-million-dollar businesses in your church that are going to want to pass it on to their kids. Now you may be able to advertise to some pastors to pass their ministry on to their kids. Get involved in the International Coaching Federation. So you now have contacts with all the rest of these coaches. If you're trying to go international, where do you think you might meet some people that want some coaching? How about at their conventions, their conferences? Get professional coaching yourself to develop your ministry in the international realm. In other words, what you need is you need some people that have contacts around the world that can give you those contacts and can introduce you to other people. And finally, get your training in probably an IFC secular certification if you want to go international of what you're doing here. But do you see how the thing sort of just builds and builds and builds and builds? But I'm recommending you start small. And here are some more recommendations on this thing. Finding your niche. Narrow your calling to a specific need. You already have your niche if you're going to be a Bible-based coach. Focus on what you have a passion and experience for. Do the ministry church gift thing. You must have credibility of what you're doing. Explore other niches and expand a little at a time. So you might just narrow down, and your niche is going to be spiritual gifts. And you're going to go around to churches, or you're going to go to your church and help everyone find their spiritual gift. And you start from that. And then you can move into other areas in the church. Eventually, they call it branding and positioning yourself in the market. How do you brand yourself? Well, the name that you choose should brand you. When you're advertising, you might want to be talking about being a Bible-based life coach, or a ministry coach, or a pastoral coach. See, if you have experience as a pastor, you might be able to go out and help other churches learn to grow that church. That would be a huge area of need within the church. But you're going to have the pastoral experience, and hopefully you have grown your church to at least 3,000 to 5,000, right? Before you take that on, so you have some credibility. Because if your church is 50 and you're trying to coach other pastors to have mega churches, I have a feeling you have a credibility gap. Pricing. We recommend you start out by giving away your coaching for free. And then you maybe go to a sliding scale. And eventually, though, you're going to have to set a price. Steve Mitten has a very interesting little rule here. This is his rule. If more than 20% of the people you're trying to coach balk at your price as being too high, you probably are. And if at least 20% don't balk at your price, you're probably too low. So the general people feel that that's a reasonable amount. But also you can check with other coaches in your area and see what other coaches are charging at this time. The way we do a sliding scale usually is we say the sliding scale is the number of thousands per year you make in dollars per hour. That's what we actually do in the counseling area. And then we set a floor on that. When I started counseling, first I was counseling anyone in the church for free that tithed. Then our bottom of our sliding scale was $10 an hour. Then it moved 20, 30, 40, and so on. And we moved up the bottom of the sliding scale. Right now, people that counsel here on a sliding scale, the bottom is $45 an hour. But of course, in insurance counseling and so on, we're talking $90 to $100 an hour. Compare prices with other coaches. Eventually, you will have to support yourself if you're going into full-time coaching on what you're making. Rule of thumb is this. You should be able to support yourself on 25 clients a week. If you can't supply yourself on 25 clients a week, you're not charging enough. Realistically targeting adults between 30 to 60 years old who make around $60,000. That's what most coaches do. Because people that make less than that probably can't afford the coaching. People that make more than that probably are looking for someone that has maybe more qualifications than you do right now. So beginning a successful paid practice. How are we going to do it? The vision, what is God calling you to do? Now, why do we need that? If you just go out and do this on your own and this is your thing, and God says, I'll watch. Good luck. But if God is speaking to you and saying, this is what I'm calling you to do, then what can we believe? That God is going to provide what you need. A verse that I really like is 2 Corinthians 9:8. And it says that God is able to make all grace abound to you, that you might have all sufficiency in all things, to abound unto all good works. And I believe if we're doing what God calls us to do, we can claim that God's going to bring in the people, bring in the clients, bring in the money, so we have all sufficiency in all things to do what He has called us to do. He never promised to do that for what we called ourselves to do. Begin small and grow as God directs. Don't try to make things happen. Let God do it. Let God bring things together. Take the opportunities that you have. Develop a sales pitch. This is the elevator speech I was talking about. So you have in your mind like a 1 or 2 minute thing you can give to people and say, ever hear about coaching? Let me tell you about coaching. This is why you need it. Da, 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 da. You explain what coaching is. You explain why people need it. You explain what you can do to help them. And therefore, when you go around talking to people, you can help them immediately. As Bruce Wilkerson would go around, and as he was flying across the Atlantic, he would just talk to people on the airplanes. And he was coaching all sorts of people all over the place. Everybody he ran into. He had his little elevator speech, and he'd get talking, and he'd get into coaching, and pretty soon he was coaching them. Contact strategies. Got to figure out what's going to work. The way I do that is I ask myself the question, if somebody really presented that to me, would I be interested? See, if I don't think it's going to work with me, then I don't think it's going to work with somebody else. So what are some things you can do again in the church? Phone lists. If your pastor will give you a phone list of everybody in the church and he's willing to let you contact them. Emails. Networks. Referrals. Christian publications. Networking with other coaches. Network with people who might know people who need coaching. Now, who are those people? Pastors, school placement organizations, financial ministers, counselors. A lot of people out there that have the people that you want to get a hold of. Churches, groups, classes, schools, websites. One thing you can do is get on the internet and you can go pull up all those other websites, and the ones that you don't really feel you're competing against, you can see if they'll list you. And there are different organizations that will lift coaches that you can get a hold of there. Public speaking opportunities. Maybe you can fill in for your pastor. Maybe some Sunday night you can go and give a talk on discipleship. Again, in the church, what term do you want to use? Probably discipleship, because that's a lot more common, and the pastor is going to see that more as a biblically based thing, or you're going to have to explain to him how coaching is very much like discipleship. Writing articles and columns. Every so often in the paper, there's another article in the paper about life coaching. We have one on our bulletin board of one of our graduates. She and her daughter are starting a coaching business here in Wichita. And one of the things you want to do is get yourself out there so people know that you even exist. Advertising campaigns on the radio, periodicals, other things like that. Somehow you've got to get out and do the advertising. And it will build over time. That's what we're talking about here. Here's a suggestion. Be who you are and learn which type of client you really connect with. Because the more successful you are, the more this thing is going to spread to other people. And those people are going to tell other people. And those people are going to tell other people. Right now, probably half of all the people who get in the way of counseling comes from our referrals that we get from people that we counseled in the past. You run into somebody that's having a problem and say, well, let me tell you who my counselor was. And so you want to find those areas in which you really click, in which you really can make an impact. Final thing I want to talk about here is reasons why coaches fail. This comes from Steve Mitten again. The first reason they fail is they have a fear of getting started. They're afraid after I tell you that there are all these coaches out there and they're not all making it full time, you said, well, I don't know. And you never take the first step. If you're having a problem with that, I suggest you go and read The Dream Giver by Wilkerson. Because that's what it's all talking about, is how do you take ordinary and turn him into somebody. And it's a whole analogy, but it's a very cute one. It's very interesting, and it's very motivating. Next, lack of competence. That's what we're trying to help you in this class with, is get you to be competent and get an idea how to coach and get an idea to get some experience, do the practicum, get out there and start coaching your friends. Remember, there are no rules, so it's okay to coach your friends. Lack of business knowledge, probably one of the bigger ones. You need to educate yourself on how to start a business. Because a lot of people don't have business knowledge. You don't know how to market. You don't know how to reach other people. If you can't find any clients, it's probably not going to go anyplace. Lack of follow-through. Make a marketing plan and follow it through. You have to continually be advertising, continually be doing speeches, but continually be helping people out there and finding those different areas. Let's just say maybe you think that your area is going to be coaching senior citizens. Where do you think you probably ought to be giving free speeches? At senior citizen centers. There are all sorts of different organizations that might allow you to come and do presentations there to get yourself known. And when they hear you, if you do a good job, some people are going to be interested in what's going on. Lack of support. Don't go out and be a lone ranger. Again, that's why you need to come to supervision here. That's why you need to connect with some other people that are doing this here. So you have other people that are working with you. Connect with your pastor. Maybe even build a support group for coaches. Connect with other people that are doing the same thing. And of course, you might want to hire a coach yourself. That way they'll walk you through this and take you through all of these steps and help you develop this in a practical, right way. The bottom line, though, is this what God is calling you to do? So let's go back and look at what we've done in this course so far. The first thing we did is we developed a new coaching method based on the story of Elijah, which is a discipleship story talking about ministry coaching. Then we broadened it out for you, looking at executive coaching, leadership coaching, business coaching. And finally, we broadened it even further into the subject of overall life coaching. What I've tried to do is to integrate a lot of the secular material out there with the biblical material so you have a broad brush overall look, an overview of the entire coaching field and the different things that are available to you out there. Then we took you through our method, showed you the skills and the steps. Remember the 12 steps, the 20 skills, and we took you through those. We took you through dreaming, we took you through planning, and we took you through supporting. And we had you do a little bit of that with each other. Then we gave you resources that you can get. We went through specialized coaching. And now just showed you, if you want to start this as a business or a ministry, some ideas that you can use to see that and make that overall thing happen. But the bottom line question is, what is God calling you to do? Is this a ministry that you fit with? Some people fit more to be a counselor. In other words, that they want to deal with those hurting people and they want to help those people that are really struggling. But other people really just like to see people succeed in the kingdom of God and would like to lead them into ministry, find their calling, and help them accomplish everything that they can. You'll have to decide what God is calling you to do. But remember, God has a plan for everybody. Every single person in this class, God has a particular mission, a particular plan. And if this is your mission, then it's time to do something about it. Maybe you want to get one of our coaches to help you along. Maybe you want to take the rest of the classes. Remember, the other classes you need to take to get our certification is you need to take the Effective Counseling and Coaching Skills class. You need to take the Faith Therapy class. You need to take the Revelations class. That'll be next trimester. You need to take the Principles class. And then you need to get a practicum where you actually get experience in doing life coaching so you get your feet on the ground. And let me make the statement, that is when it all comes together. When you have a person right there that has real issues in a real situation and you're walking alongside them. It wouldn't hurt you right now, though, to be thinking, now where would I find some clients to coach? Where would I find some people who'd be interested in this? I went before our congregation here one time, And I just stood up and said, how many people in the congregation, you know that God has probably called you to do something, but you don't know what it is, and you'd really like somebody to come alongside you and help you to find your calling and to see that be fulfilled? And probably 2/3 of the people in the congregation raised their hands. So where do you think you might be able to find some people to start doing some coaching? Let's pray. Lord, we thank you that you have a way of touching people and helping people, and you called it discipleship, Lord. And maybe we've expanded that a little bit, Lord, but we believe that you're calling some people in this class to go out and start doing this and to touch other people and to make those people effective in your kingdom. And Lord, we ask that you would just make it clear to us what you've called us to do, and then lead us and help us to become all that you've called us to be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him there's no other, 'cause Jesus is the way. Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him there's no other.